Now that we're a couple months into the wipe, let me ask you, when's the last time you took a look at your stash? If you're going through your stash and you see some gear that you've been holding onto for a couple months now, then that means you're probably suffering from gear fear. But don't worry, because you're not alone. A lot of players in looter shooter games, such as Escape from Tarkov, suffer from gear fear. The fear of losing all the gear that they take in the raid is a hard obstacle for most to get over, including myself. Whenever I first started playing, it took me an entire wipe to get over my gear fear. And in this video, I'm going to try to help you get over yours. So strap in and let's get into the video. The thought of losing your gear every time you load into a raid is pretty intimidating, especially for those who don't have a lot of time to play the game. That gear that they get can seem so valuable to you, you don't even want to take it into a raid because you don't want to lose it. The thought of having that high tier gear in your stash gives people comfort. But that's not the best way to play Tarkov in any looter shooter. The reason why that gear is so valuable to a lot of players is because it's good. It's the best gear in the game, and you should be able to use it without worrying about losing it. Yes, I know that's easier said than done, but hopefully you will be able to get over that soon. The main reason why a lot of people have gear fear is because they're worried about becoming broke and not having any gear to use. So the best way to get over that is to learn how to make money in Tarkov. That way you won't have to ever worry about being able to buy gear in the future. If you haven't seen my how to make money easily in Tarkov video, then I'll link that down in the description and you should check it out, because making money in Tarkov is super easy and it's something that you should know how to do to improve your entire Tarkov experience. Keep in mind, if you are worried about money when it comes to having gear fear, don't forget you always have a scav that you can use. The most expensive part about your kit that you're probably going to be using is going to be your gun, which is probably going to be around 300,000 to 500,000 rubles, depending on what attachments you put on it. And that 300,000 to 500,000 rubles can easily be made in 1 to 2 scav runs. So if you are worried about losing money, then just run a couple scav runs, use that money to build yourself a nice gun that you can use with the rest of the high level gear that you're planning on using. That way you won't be losing any money in the process, so you have nothing to worry about there. Now that you know how to make money consistently, there is no reason for you to have gear fear. You can always do trades for that gear and you can always get that gear back then. So it's time to start using that gear, get it out of your stash, because it's not doing any good there when it could be helping you in the middle of a raid. Speaking of which, don't wait until the last couple months to start using all of your good gear. I used to wait until like the last month or week of the wipe, and then that's when I would use all my good gear. But that's not the best way to use it. And the reason being is if everyone's using the best gear towards the end of the wipe, that means everybody's using the best ammo. All that good gear that you've been holding for the past couple months is basically going to be a non-factor. Even though that gear that you're using is the best in the game, being level 6 or level 5, that doesn't mean that you're going to be invincible when you're using it. If you wait until the end of the wipe when everyone is using nothing but high penetration ammo and meta guns, then that armor that you've been thinking is so valuable isn't that great anymore. Something like 7.62 BP or M61, M62 is just going to 2-tap or 3-tap you anyway, even if you're wearing the best armor in the game. Yes, that's going to be better than wearing level 4 diaper armor such as a TV10 rig, but what's the point of waiting to use it at the end of the wipe when everybody's just going to be going right through it like butter anyway? That's why I think it's better to use that gear earlier on in the wipe, which will help you with your gear fear. To get the most bang for your buck with your gear is to use it earlier in the wipe when people aren't using the best ammo in the game or the best guns. For example, if everyone is using 7.62 PS ammo or 8.55 or M856A1, then that's going to give you a better chance of surviving, because that level 6 armor will actually eat a lot more bullets of that ammo compared to something that is high penetration. The same thing applies to face shields whenever you're using helmets. Everyone knows that face shields don't do shit in Tarkov, especially later on in the wipe. Good ammo just goes right through there and it doesn't protect you, and the price that you're paying for those face shields is not worth it unless you're using it early in the wipe when people are using low tier ammo or buckshot with a shotgun. That's when face shields are most useful. So if you can get yourself a face shield early on in the wipe, then that's the best time to use it. Don't hoard it in your stash and make it useless later. Use it now, that way it would actually protect you. If you're using that gear earlier in the wipe, that's usually what people are going to be rocking. They're not going to be having the best ammo in the game, so it's going to help you survive a lot more, compared to if you just wait and use that gear towards the end of the wipe. And once you start to use that armor in raid, and you end up dying with it, then you're going to realize that that gear that you've been putting on a high pedestal this whole time really isn't that great. That's why I don't have gear fear anymore. Once I started getting over my gear fear and I started using it in more raids, I realized just how easy it is to die with that gear anyway. That gear doesn't really protect you, and it really shouldn't be praised as much as it is. Even if you're going fully kitted, you're wearing a hex grid and an Alton, you can still get one-shotted in the head if somebody's using M61, or sometimes even 7.62 BP. And you're wearing the best gear in the game, and you can still get one-shotted. That right there in itself really opened my eyes to the gear in Tarkov and why you shouldn't be scared of losing it. Just as easy as it is to die with that gear, it's just as easy to kill people with it. So you can always get that gear back. Even if you're somebody who isn't that great at the game, as long as you're using decent ammo and you come across the right player at the right situation, you can always kill them and you can get that gear right back. They're not invincible. They're not an indestructible tank. They can die, and they can die pretty easily, even when you're using the best gear. That's what made me get over my gear fear, as I would always bring in good gear every raid, and I would just still die just as easy as if I was wearing a level 4 armor rig. That gear that you're using is only going to protect you in certain situations where players don't have the best ammo in the game, so your gear is actually going to be useful then. But if you're going against somebody who is using good ammo, then you might as well just be using a level 4 rig. So there should be no reason why you're hoarding onto all your good gear. If you have a bunch of level 5 and level 6 armor or armored rigs, go ahead and use them. Because at the end of the day, it's not doing you any good in your stash. And if you're not going to use it, then you might as well sell it and get your money's worth. Then buy something that you're not going to be afraid of losing. Because at that point, the money that you make is more valuable to you than that gear in the first place. I hope this video has helped some of you guys get over your gear fear and learn that the gear shouldn't be as praised as what it is. And you can always get it back just as easy as you can dying with it. So go out there, burn through some of your stash, and have fun while doing it. Hell, even use some of this time to try to get into more PvP engagements to try to get better. Now, I'm not saying go and burn through your entire stash and end up with no gear, but every now and then, go ahead and use some of the better gear that you're hoarding in your stash that you've had since the beginning of Wipe. Because like I said, it's been sitting there all this time. It's not doing you any good, but just looking pretty in your stash. If you made it this far in the video, thank you for watching. I really appreciate your time. If you enjoyed the video, which you must have if you watched all the way to the end, then consider subscribing and liking the video. Also, comment down below if there's any other reason why you're having gear fear, and I'll try to help you as much as I can. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.